This is House Planning Help episode 183. Hi there, I'm Ben Adam Smith, and this is the podcast for you if you're interested in self-build, because I'm exploring what houses we should be building in the 21st century and trying to break down the major roadblocks that may get in our way. Coming up in this session, I'm looking at how to achieve an exceptional air tightness result, and we're going to do this via means of a story, and then we'll tie everything together at the end. I like to shake things up when I can. Before we start though, some personal news.
Well, it's okay. It's alright.
You okay, little one?
You're the most beautiful little girl ever. At least I can see you, because I couldn't see your brother. Oh, it feels very surreal.
Yes, our baby girl Emily has arrived, and you hear all sorts of birth stories, don't you? This one was a roller coaster. Enough said. Baby and mother doing well now. All systems go as well, because we've heard that we've got planning permission too. So we'd amended our plans slightly based on the feedback that the planner gave us, and so now we have the green light. Extremely exciting moment. Nerve-wracking. This whole journey is you have highs and lows, don't you? But we can start thinking of next steps again, and I'm sure we'll do some podcasts as we go through some more. It'll be detailed design, won't it? And various other stages. The bit I'm not looking forward to is all that specking of everything. Today's podcast is a collection of audio clips taken from the Hub. We do in-depth video case studies, and our second one we started recording and filming in autumn 2016. It's called Buckinghamshire Passivhaus. Well, that's the name we've given it. Why follow this build? The obvious reason, because the clients were really supportive and gave us access and wanted to get the message out there of better building. Also, Janet Cottrell, the architect and also involved with Passivhaus Homes' PH15 system, she's extremely experienced, co-author of the Passivhaus Handbook, lovely person, relaxed, not afraid to have a camera thrust in her face. In fact, comes across very well on camera. And aside from all that, I really respect the journey that she's been on personally and where it's led her.
I wasn't sure whether I believed in climate change or not, and I didn't feel I had sufficient information to make a decision about it. And I also was uncomfortable with the way I was practicing as an architect. And I couldn't really say exactly why or what I should be doing. So I was lucky that I was in a position where I could go and do a master's and take time out of my business, which is what I did, specifically to work out whether I really believed in climate change.
And do you?
Yes, I do. Yes. So, and then to just look at some of the, how should I be building, basically, responsibly. And by the end of doing the masters, I decided I definitely believed in climate change. And B, I was working out, I felt as an architect, what was my responsibility? And I decided my responsibility was to get the fabric of the building correct. And I felt the answer was energy efficiency, to make a building as energy efficient as possible. And about that time was when Passivhaus was just beginning to be talked about. And I thought, well, this seems to work, so I'm not going to try and reinvent my own solution, which I did feel a lot of people were trying to do all the time. I do think in the UK we have a tendency to keep trying to do things again and again. So I was quite happy to just find something that appeared to work, and I was very impressed it had been developed by a physicist.
So fast forward a few years, and Janet's got a lot of Passivhaus experience, written the book, and developed a system to make building this way easier. As a Hub case study, I've been to Buckinghamshire Passivhaus every week to 10 days since September 2016, and seeing it come together, it has been quite exciting for me. I always enjoy just going onto any site, but just keeping that regular momentum there. It's sometimes difficult, obviously, because life gets in the way, but to have had that opportunity to see this one come together and to meet all the people involved, including Wayne, who you're going to hear from shortly, Ads, Constantine, Stu, Matt, and various others who dip in and out. This house is a timber frame build. Mentioned already the Passivhaus Homes PH15 system. It's also got a Glatar concrete basement. We've got various links that we will put in the show notes today. We had a chat with Andrew McAnulty from Ready Made Basements in episode 163. Also, Janet's been on the podcast a couple of times, hasn't she? So check out episode 121. Another interesting aspect of the project is that the above-ground contractor Jigsaw Construction had never built a passive house before. This is Ben West, the boss, talking about this project.
We're familiar with traditional timber frame with brick outer skin. This is slightly different in the way that it's insulated and obviously in its level of airtightness. So there are some crossovers with what we've done before, but it has got some very unique elements involved, particularly the way that the system goes together on site and the way that it's manufactured off site.
So Ben's team on site was headed up by Wayne, and right from the start there was 100% buy-in to achieving Passive House. Here's Janet again.
Wayne, who's responsible on site as the carpenter, he's been taking great care with it and really enjoying the experience, and is very ambitious about what airtightness he's going to get, which is great that people adopt it very quickly and enjoy themselves with it. So I think that process I've seen before, that same enthusiasm and people catching on very quickly.
And my production company, Regen Media, also produced a training video for Passive House homes. Just before the whole structure was covered up, we thought, let's use this project as much as we can. And Janet was keen to interview Wayne about this experience.
And what about your airtightness? So you almost got to the point now where
I'm chief checker on that.
you're chief checker, and you're feeling confident.
And I am feeling, yeah. So we want 0 on this. So.
I keep saying you can't get 0, but you're still going to try for it.
Absolutely, yeah. We're going to, give it our best shot.
But your backstop is 0.2. You said to me,
yeah. Because I've heard the record is 0.3, so we've got to come underneath it. So.
There's definitely ones between 0.2 and 0.3. I know there one in Ireland, a project that's extremely low. Yeah. I don't think there's anything in England at that low. So if you get 0.2, you'll be doing extremely well.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Come the day of the air test, I got a nice surprise. An old friend was back in town, none other than airtightness guru Paul Jennings. At this point, he's preparing the area where the fan will go. That's a window that he's selected, while chatting to Wayne and Janet.
How long have you been doing this for, Paul?
30 years.
30 years.
I am the old fart of the industry.
The old fart. The one with most knowledge, yeah?
Yep.
Wayne, do you know that I made a documentary with Paul?
Did you?
Yeah.
The future of housing.
The old fart of the industry.
The old fart of the industry. That's nice, isn't it?
Always a good vibe going on site. So what's an airtightness test all about? We'll link up the various interviews that I've done with Paul over the years. Here's a quick recap.
So we're doing an airtightness test, preliminary one, and there'll be a final one when the house is finished. And the idea is to prove that it won't lose too much hot air and therefore heat, because it needs to be low energy, cheap to run, etc. So we've got a fan mounted in the window. At the moment it's sucking air out. Under conservation of momentum, it's coming back into whatever cracks and gaps there are, and we have a pressure difference measurement and an airflow measurement, and that's one reading. We take a series of readings up to about 12, and the computer plots a graph, and that tells us the answer. But we already know, because I've had to go from the large ring to the smaller ring, this is a good result. For a house this size, having the small ring means it's going to pass. Not sure how well yet, but that comes in a bit once we've finished going around, checking for leaks, adjusting the doors. The client wants the best result they can get, obviously. And for a passive house, you have to achieve what's called air change rate of 0.6 at a pressure of 50 pascals, which is about the same as a 20-mile-an-hour wind. And building regs would allow you to have a value of 10, so over 15 times worse. And passive house is airtight, it's a requirement. It has an MVHR system, heat recovery ventilation. So you want any hot air to go through the system, not out through cracks and gaps. So that's a key part of that. But also we're worried about moisture, especially in a timber frame building. We don't want moisture getting into the walls because air takes moisture. Moisture leads to rot. The house doesn't last 200 years, which is what it should do as a passive house like this.
Now, I don't know how often this happens when it comes to airtightness tests, but of course everyone likes to have a guess at what the result might be.
0.21. What does Paul say? Paul says nothing. Paul's too experienced to guess. He won't predict. No, he won't. No.
Yeah, well, it's below 0.1. Now, hang on. We've only taken one reading, so I've got to take a full set.
Oh, well, wow, that's amazing.
This could be the best I've ever tested.
Well done. It's your achievement there. You're the man.
Right, come on, Wayne, put your hard hat on and come over here and get the shot.
Will it still fit on his head?
So already the mood is superb. However, we haven't had the result yet. So we waited a few more minutes. Paul's got some more readings to take. And then it was time for the result.
Okay, so I just need to press the button and the computer will recalculate it.
Oh my goodness.
And the answer is 0.087. So that's my best ever result, best ever the one I've ever done.
Goodness.
And there's about 2 in the country better than that ever. Congratulations, good job.
Fantastic. Team effort, eh?
Yeah, congratulations, Wayne. Yeah,
Great.
absolutely amazing.
And of course, I mean, not that I think we need to do it, but for the final test, when you pressurise, because you push the windows tight, it'll be slightly better.
Wayne, you said you were going to do it.
Yeah, I think we got just a little bit off a 0, but it's fantastic.
Congratulations. I mean, having the basement helps, because you've got basically a concrete box, which is going to be airtight, and it adds to the volume.
Yeah.
And I was saying, if you take the building out of the ground, you'd see almost a cube. So the form factor is also really good in it. And so there's it's a fairly simple form, and it's almost a cube. Simple construction system, great care and on site with the builder.
Yeah, and it's a small
Exceptional
craft.
care.
It's a craft builder owning the job rather than the volume builder building rubbish.
Absolutely.
You heard me say that before, Ben.
Yes, Paul sounding like a broken record. Rightly so, though. We'll embed the future of housing into today's show notes so you can hear everything that Paul had to say. Well, watch, I suppose. And we carry out some air tests too. And it's when I look back at that and think of some of the names that we had in there. Kevin Anderson, who's really strong on climate change and well known. Mark Brinkley, the author of probably the biggest self-build book there is. Ted Stevens, the former chair of NAXPA, one of the industry bodies. Brenda Boardman, who's done some amazing research. Andy Simmons, AECB, Jackson Moulding, Ecomotive. Yeah, so it's all in there. If you haven't seen this documentary, set aside half an hour and go and do it. Anyway, as Paul's best ever result, I had lots more questions for him and the team, and I started by asking how long he'd been doing this.
30 years.
And you're sure we haven't done anything that's...
Yes, I'm sure. I mean, I've been wrong about things before, but I was keeping an eye on things, trying to make sure there's no jiggery-pokery going on, because we know Wayne's a man who wants a good result. But fundamentally, it's a very airtight system. You've got airtight boards, good tapes, and quality control of the works, of the people doing the ceiling.
Janet, how does it feel?
Honestly, it feels really great. It feels as good as the first time we achieved it. That's how good it feels to get this result. Because it shows if you do it right as it's meant to be done, then, it's very impressive, really.
You're almost emotional here.
Yeah, I am, yeah. Yeah, no, it's great.
And the system that you've put together here, I mean, where has this all come from? And when we were doing the actual test, I know you said something that was quite important, that this was a team effort.
Yeah, well, if you really want an exceptional project, then you need to have the whole team, so it's not just one thing, it's all of those things. So I was just saying it's very important that the client's role and the builder and the system, the detailing of it, because if that's complicated, however good the builder is, they're going to struggle, aren't they, to do it. So you need to give them something that's doable. And if those things come together, then, you can get fantastic results.
Now, I never set up house planning help to go and sort of promote people, but I mean, it does seem that you've got something here that works, and you must be quite excited as a company.
Yes, I feel very excited because you're trying to do, people are very anxious about doing Pascals because of the risk that they perceive. And there is a risk associated if you go down the wrong path. And you get abortive works and you get delayed time. You know, it can be a nightmare for somebody. So you want to have a system that gives you that security, and if you follow it, there's absolutely no reason you should fail. I mean, Wayne can sort of talk to this in a minute, but really, there's nothing here that somebody with the proper care shouldn't be able to do, is there?
Well, let's bring Wayne in, because the whole time you have been diligent about everything that you're doing on the project, and we made it into a bit of a joke that you were aiming for 0. But how have you been so careful on this?
Oh, it's just do what we normally do, sort of thing, and that's what we do across the board. So, yeah, just take our time, make sure everything's right, and check again, and so.
And one thing I think is important is because Wayne has never done this before. Have you? You've never done anything like... I mean, it's all carpentry based. Obviously, the skill base is all there. But actually doing something like this, you've never done before, have you?
No.
And how was that transition then? Because you've made it look very easy.
Well, it's just I've been a carpenter for 25 odd years, so the principles are the same. Really good set of drawings, and just follow the drawings. And sorry, I'm a bit speechless.
And also, it is actually important that we do the training time before we just... It's not a long session, is it, really?
No.
But we go through it. We can't teach everything, but we can go through how this system goes together. And because it's not complicated, you can do it in one session, can't you? You just had one session going through it all, what all the different materials are. So, and on this system as well, the airtight layer is very easily identifiable, isn't it? You know exactly what it is and where it is, and everyone can immediately know what they're, so there's no confusion.
I was interested too, Paul, that when we went around, we still could feel some small leaks. So even though this is the best airtightness result that you've done, there's still small leaks, admittedly through the door.
No, I mean, this house can get better. Yeah, both the front and back door with adjustment could be slightly better. Not hugely better, but slightly better. The Velux roof lights, or they're not Velux, are they? Who are they?
The Facro.
The Facro roof lights were leaking a bit, but the bifold doors were the best I've ever seen.
So you always get this leakage, no matter, well, unless you could get that 0, you will detect some areas.
Yeah.
Well, you're talking about tiny areas, though. Yeah. You're talking about tens of square centimetres of hole.
And that is the only folding sliding that we will put in. It's a Lacuna, and it has that airtightness rating. There's no other one that I know of. And it's not as perfect as the cat spec windows, because I haven't detected a single leak through those cat spec windows, those Austrian windows. But there is a little bit on that folding. But it's terribly difficult to do a folding sliding screen, isn't it? So that's the only one that we would... Because if you imagine someone done it... The other thing is about expectation. If you say to someone you've got to take a lot of care, and then some product lets you down, that's not a good thing. So it's not just... That's why we do it as a system. It's not just the airtightness layer and the timber frame. It's the windows and the roof lights. And, it's all these things coming together and giving you the result. Because it would be, wouldn't it? It would be heartbreaking if you came in and we said, oh, actually, the MVHR system is rubbish and it let you down, and the window let you down, and it's got to all come together because they're all playing their part.
Have you actually developed the system over time? Have you changed some things?
Yes, yeah. We started with a very, a version of this, and then we just kept working at it each time to simplify it. And almost all the airtightness, Paul and I were talking about this, and we had a talk about this in the past, and he influenced us to a degree to do all our airtightness with a guaranteed airtight board. So everywhere we can, we just have the single product. And that works because it's robust, isn't it? And it's easy for you guys to work with. And so there's only very small areas of membrane where we simply can't use the board, but otherwise we always rely on the robustness of the board.
Well done, everyone. And I just think it's been such a pleasure to have seen this project. Out of all the projects that we could have come to watch, not only the system, but getting the construction team, and then Paul's icing on the cherry. So, Paul, are you retiring now?
Best ever. Well, no, I think I have to. I think I have to wait until we get one that's a 0.
Yes, that's
your next project, Janet.
And that's where we leave things for today. Is this the best feel-good episode we've ever done? I think so. What are the chances of us filming Paul's career best airtightness result? Absolutely love it. Big thank you must also go to the owners of Buckinghamshire Passivhaus, who prefer to keep away from the cameras and the microphones. Fair play, but without their help and their access to the project, we would certainly not be doing this today. Just before we finish up, I've got some takeaways for you. Maybe you've got your own. This is just what I feel I've heard. Firstly, a strong team. You can probably just even feel the vibe as we went through there. Client, architect, contractor, everyone working together, it all working well. Second point is buy-in. I'm sure this came across. Wayne with a determination, everyone at Jigsaw Construction wanting this result to be really, really good. Perhaps along the way, I'll put my hands up here, I didn't think Wayne would get anywhere close to what he did, but he kept on saying that. So determination, strong. It's in all the best books, isn't it, about visualizing yourself achieving things. Just be determined. Don't listen to what other people tell you. There's a lot of experience on this project too. That would be my third point. Wayne may not have done a passive house before, but he's done, 20, 25 years, did he say, during this? Janet. I mean, probably most people in this podcast today have the experience. Andrew McAnulty, vast basement experience, and then various different people that I bumped into. I keep bumping into them on site. There was a gentleman called Gordon Lewis who blew in all the insulation, who again, he said he's been doing this for 25 years. There was a power floating guy called Patrick Sexton, who's 70 years old and going strong, who knows everything there is to know about power floating. So that would be my third point. A lot of experience. It does help, doesn't it? Number 4, a tried and tested method of construction. Both Glatar, also PH15. These are passive house products, really, aren't they? Careful detailing. And this actually includes not just the system, for example, the windows and the doors. It's got to be up to the same standard or you're not going to get that overall result. Then I've put in as my 5th point, having a simple form. It's almost a cube on this project. It just helps. And my final takeaway is Janet talked about simplifying the system over time. Did you hear that? And as far as I'm concerned, this word comes up again and again with the best sustainable architecture. Simplicity. So many projects just completely overdo it or need to be all singing, all dancing. For me personally, simplicity is the way to go. If you're serious about going sustainable, simplicity. So there may be other things that you've picked up on. If you have, please let me know in today's show notes at houseplanninghelp.com/183. We got photos of the project, of the air test, links to everything we've mentioned. Hopefully we're not going to miss out anything here because we've mentioned a lot of people. Passive House Homes, Jigsaw Construction, Glatar Ready-Made Basements, all sorts of people and more. We'll put that in houseplanninghelp.com/183. Let's finish up on a Hub update and some exciting news for us because we've moved into Hub 2.0. It's been one of my big business goals for this year and I'm very excited. A lot of work has gone into it, but our in-depth video case studies are probably the thing that we're most proud of. So to have had something of this caliber now, just looking back, is just extra exciting. So you can follow it from start to finish. Find out what it means to become a Hub member at houseplanninghelp.com/join. That's it. Thank you so much for listening. The House Planning Help podcast is produced by Regen Media, content that matters.